Okay, I know we have a pretty massive city build here already, but like, what if we made it even bigger? Who needs to start new projects when you can just keep expanding your current project? Today, I want to talk about my process for planning a project of this scale in Minecraft, and go through the process of setting up the new harbor district, with a massive expansion ready to add in new buildings. If you're excited for a massive medieval fantasy city build, click that like button, and please subscribe if you're new, as it helps me out a ton. Thank you. Before we get into digging, let's talk about how to make a really cool looking city in Minecraft. As much as this looks like a bunch of random buildings thrown in, there is a pretty consistent plan behind it. First up, I like to plan out loosely where the roads are going in to connect main entrances and exits together. This also works great if you add in points of interest along the way to draw people towards them, like this manor here. As soon as you walk in the main gate, you get a shot of this, and I feel like you instantly want to walk towards it. My main roads throughout the city are pretty direct lines to reach the other gates, while still curving to fit around the buildings more naturally. Roads are a great way to move and get you to your points of interest, but outside of that, we kind of need the things that make cities come alive. Places for people to live. I really enjoy how Stormwind from World of Warcraft handles this by adding in different colored districts. I'm a little looser on the colored roof markings, but so far up here we have the upper district. Down the road, we have the Dwarven district with our factory and more mechanical looking structures. I have yet to give an official name to this region, but so far it's kind of like an old town. Right next to that, across this bridge here, we enter into the industrial district. Here you can see all of those symbolized on our map. Along with that, I want to expand to some new districts, including the harbor today, a foliage-inspired university near the mountain, a neighborhood underneath the tree, and expanding the industrial district to connect in with a fortress at the river's entrance. It's a massive project, but that's the overview plan of what I want to do with the city here. Now, taking a look at our newer harbor district over here, we can go behind the scenes into my creative world and see how I have the roads down, and I'm using buildings to help further the shape while still leaving spaces to detail that will be added in when I get to actually, making things. If you don't enjoy planning everything in creative first, you can just pick a simple block like stone or cobblestone to build out of and shape each building you're making. I just like the different concrete colors so I can quickly tell all the structures apart. But at this point, you just have to build the builds and throw them in together and create your own Minecraft city. It's kind of like a build the rest of the horse type moment here. You'll learn a lot of things along the way that you love that you made, and you might have a few things that you made along the way that you're like, I really decided to do that? But hey, at least that means you learned something. For today's expansion to this Minecraft city, I want to carve out space to build in the harbor here. But a slight problem already, as you can see, I've been doing a lot of digging recently and my tools are pretty busted. So let's go repair those before I break anything. With a quick trip down into the nether, we can escape through into the end dimension, say hello to the giant beautiful tree, and we can visit the Enderman farm for some easy experience. Oh, look at that already waiting for me. I am forever thankful that I went through the effort to make all of these netherite tools, as we have an absolutely massive dig ahead of us today. But before we get into that, a little back in time here, as I want to catch you up on that digging that I was doing. I removed this entire mountain near the dog brewery and covered it with moss. I've still got some work to do on this section over here, but I am really loving how it's looking with all of the snow gone. It just seems much more on par with the sunflower fields to have just some grassy hills up here instead of a random patch of snow kind of like that. And oh boy, it was a lot of blocks. Yeah, this is a monster over here, and it'll stay there for now. On top of that, I also dug out a massive chunk of the city harbor to make it a bit deeper and easier for boats to theoretically move around, and then started to expand the river by removing the far side. Okay, maybe that second one happened months ago, but I've been sitting on that time-lapse footage, so I had to finally share it. I have also decided I want to dig this river out even further all the way across here, so that's another project, along with I want to remove this whole mountain and kind of level it off to further expand city over here. This isn't a cry for help, I promise. This is actually going to be a really cool project. But first, on with the current stupid project. We've got a little bit of prep work we need to do here before we can actually start digging, as it's finally time to remove this lava pool that I've constantly been falling into. Well, almost falling into. We haven't done that yet. And then another slight problem over here. Let's put the chest piece on and get the bow to take out our zombie friend. I have a Halloween skeleton sitting here who, yes, he can't hurt me. Do your best, buddy. Do your best. I kept this dude as he has a pumpkin on his head, and you can literally only get these on October 31st, Halloween. And as he's a unique mob, I would like to save him. So we're gonna just toss him right back over in here, and he can be like a bandit underneath the dock. I don't know. Speaking of the river though, I would like to dig it out even more and replace the entire bottom with mud, as I think it could look really cool, but that's a project for the future. As this project right here, as I showed you my creative testing world earlier, I have been planning this thing out a ton to make sure that I do it right, as this is a weird area. So prepare your eyes for 3, 2, 1. Ignore the house. Ignore the house. We're actually not doing that today. This right here, you can see a cliff face coming out all the way over there. Make it a little bit more solid for you. And everything here that is purple, well, I gotta remove all of that. And for a few extra spoilers here, there's a lot of purple. Back home at the starter base, over here, I have a ton of shulker shells. If we bring 54 with us, that will make 27 boxes. And we can craft down a bunch of chests here in the lumber mill to make a bunch of boxes, which for now, let's just do that. It was too many. Dang it. For now, I'm gonna just set up all of the empty shulkers over here so we can have a bit of a project section. I think I'm pretty close to the middle over here, so we can go through setting up a beacon. And time for some haste 2. I know the end product I want here, but outside of that, I have no idea how much I have ahead of myself, which for me is the fun of Minecraft. I get an idea in my brain, then I figure out how to do it, and finally I go through the challenge of doing it in survival, as I get that huge sense of accomplishment by building something in my hardcore world. I am using Lightmatica to help the process, as I want to make this city really amazing, but for me, that doesn't really take away from the challenge of doing everything in the survival game. I had to set up another beacon, as the first didn't quite make it all the way over to the corner. And on top of that, I've filled up 12 shulker boxes worth of stuff. I think we're nearing about the halfway point as far as the distance goes, but as you can see here, the terrain does get a lot taller, so it's gonna take a little bit longer. I've already watched the entirety of Howl's Moving Castle while digging, and that's a 2-hour movie. So I think it's time to live stream and just get it all done. Also, I'm definitely thinking as we're getting into these under points of the caves, we could do like cold storage rooms and maybe like a mushroom cave back here. And I've seen a few comments about building a cave entrance to the Dwarven Underground District. If you remember, we found this massive cave over here that I talked about turning into part of the Dwarven District. So maybe they enter in from outside the city as like a second entrance or something, and we can turn it into like a cool dwarven gate. I don't know. Digging first, build later. Digging now, actually. I want to get all of this done to move on to the next phases. So I did start streaming here and on Twitch. If you want to hang out, be sure to turn on notifications so you can know when I go live. And the last chunk of this took nearly 3 hours to clean up, where we also have 5 pretty busted tools with 2 more half-broken ones. And 24 of these shulker boxes are completely filled up. But all of the digging is now done for the cliff face, as well as putting in the harbor wall, and it only took 3 beacons to stretch across the entire area. And for now, we're just gonna end it here, because I haven't planned what goes after that, and that's okay. I shouldn't need these beacons again, so I would like to get them cleaned up and out of the way for now. And much better without those beams in. This actually looks pretty cool. Next up, I want to come over here and grab a ton of our grass blocks, as I've just been planning to use those as the filler block for now. Pretty much on top of everything in here that we have down at this base layer is going to be a grass block. And then once we get into the detailing phase and really building the structures down here, we can change this out for our curse skirts and everything. But I don't want to put that effort in right now when a lot of it's probably going to be removed anyways, so we're saving time where we can. Nearly 2 shulker boxes of grass placed back down here, and this is gonna do for now. We've got area for the road to go through, and before we move on further in the lower region planning with all of that, I want to get these cliffs brought out first. And I need a lot of blocks, like a lot of blocks. Our first trip is going down into the nether, as I need a shulker box full of basalt. Now I know I can create an automatic farm for basalt, well, semi-automatic that I can mine it, but to be honest, I just like being out in the world and actually gathering materials. I don't really care to do this in the most efficient way possible. There we go, shulker's now filled up, and only had one close run-in with the magma cube and a few guests, but that is really starting to open up now. I don't know what I'm doing over here, but slowly we're just gonna tear open this entire viewport into the basalt delta. Next, I'd like to spend a little bit of time in the blue Minecraft sky before we dive underground again, so let's grab 2 more empty shulkers and jump out to the deserts of New Papyrus to head a little bit south, as I'm probably gonna regret this, but I need so many acacia logs. When planning out the cliffs, I used acacia wood, which is 4 logs turned into 3 wood blocks, so it's a lot more expensive, as I didn't want any of the orange inner texture showing, as I want this to give rock vibes, not tree vibes. A very dense forest of acacia trees ahead of us, and a ton of logs have been gathered up here. Like really dense. I placed down pretty much every single sapling that I picked up so that they would just keep regrowing, and I love it. Our basalt and the acacia are all going to be the darker tones we're using for the cliffs, and from a distance we can use coal ore right here. And I think back over in my starter base, yes, we have plenty more. That could be a great way to bridge from the acacia into some regular stone. Up close it looks a little weird, but trust me on this, as we get farther away, it looks great. It looks fantastic. No, from back here, you can kind of see the tones blending together. Now moving on to the highlights. A quick trip down to the sheep farm, as I want to use a bunch of light gray wool. That's not too much. All right, I've got over the far side of this mountain a second sheep farm that I've set up for bulk sheep shearing of a single color, and these are all on light gray wool. Yes. Definitely gonna use it all, so let's just fill up the whole thing. Quick trip into color storage. We can drop down underneath where hopefully I have a decent amount of light gray concrete powder. That should be enough to get us through this. I was originally planning to get all the materials for everything here, but I'll be honest, I'm just really excited to get the cliff face in. So we also have a little bit of andesite and mossy cobble to blend up at the top. And then we've got all of this and that. Then over here for one more element, we have a bunch of grass blocks we can grab. That's just a few 10 shulker boxes to build some cliffs. As already mentioned, I'm using Lightmatica for this build to help me get this video to all of you before I want to retire. I've recently been seeing a lot of negativity about using this mod, and while I do agree it changes away from the survival game a tiny bit, I thought I would show how it helps creators and any player really, like myself, to just save overall time spent in the game. I see a lot of people confusing difficulty of making something in Minecraft with the task just being tedious and having to spend a lot of time on it. Lightmatica to me helps save time, as I can plan things out in creative, which I already do anyways because I enjoy it. Then instead of putting screenshots on a side monitor, I can just see it in game and bring it to life. This saves me a massive amount of time on production and helps me actually make weekly videos for all of you, so I personally think that's a big positive. This mod, for at least how I use it, doesn't really break the game anyway, while freeing up more time for me to stay in that creative idea generation phase, and I really love having fun with that. Instead of spending time casting this all out of stone, then tearing down 90% of it because I hated it, and then building it again, then breaking it again down to texture it and waste even more time, I can use some creative tools to help me create faster and then show the final products here in the world. This here is my use case for Lightmatica. I don't do everything in game with it, but for massive builds like these, I want to get it right the first time. Especially when I'm trying to really push my building abilities, I want to make something that I am so incredibly proud of, like this cliff that will set us up for an awesome space to build below. This has turned out to be so epic. I am really happy, and it's definitely dark underneath the cliffs, but that's kind of the look that I've been going for here. Before we can do anything else, however, my wings are very busted, and I've got to go fix them up. They've been dropping quick. Even with the help of Lightmatica on that, it still took me nearly 3 hours to build up the entire cliff, so we've been at this for quite a bit. But we can jump down into the nether to the Wither skeleton farm, grab a little experience that's already sitting here. There we go, much better on the wings. Back over at the harbor, I still have a good amount of grass blocks left over in here that I want to start putting on the terrain up above, so that we can at least connect this beginning section all the way back. Nearly 2 full shulkers placed down, and I've just got a bit over a stack left on me, and I think that's gonna do it for now, as we can fly on all the way down here, and it gives a good glimpse of where we're headed with all of the grass blocks placed on top. But I think honestly there might be another cliff that's just going to be maybe 10 or 15 blocks tall, and then the university will be sitting on top of that. But I'm a little worried the university is going to be so tall it's going to be kind of dwarfing the tree. We'll see what happens. For now, I've got a bunch of empty shulker boxes that I can very happily be getting rid of. Throwing some shaders on, the east side of the city is looking so good. Still a work in progress, but the vision is there. Now for something very important. I gotta plant a field. Since we're back working on the city of Path, I figured it was a great time to add a field to the expanse of massive farmland to the west of the city. I do want to eventually wrap around farmland on all sides to keep it a little more realistic, just like it's pretty realistic for YouTubers to ask you to click the like button and subscribe to our channels. Got him. But for real, thank y'all so much for the support. It does make a huge difference for me, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do either or both. Just like I spent the extra 20 minutes here planting a new field for this world. A new wheat field means today is a good day. Back to the harbor we go. I gotta really figure out something to do down there on that stony beach. Underneath the cliffs that we just built, I want to work on adding in some main roads that are gonna connect throughout the city to help with planning down the road? Huh? And so we can have a little bit more guidance on what space we have to add in all of our buildings. I'm just kind of back to square one on this guy. Well, no, like 1.5, because I need a lot of materials. But we've already got andesite and mossy cobble and all of the basalt we should need. But that still leaves a lot of materials on the list of stuff to gather for this build. First up, I flew north to find an azalea tree to tear up all of the rooted dirt below. I was able to locate one pretty quickly near a river that turned into many flooded caves below, but I was able to get all of the needed rooted dirt. Back in the city after dropping off those materials, I have been loving the mud brick roads, and I want to continue that here on some of the side roads, which means a lot of mud and packed mud crafting. To add more chaos to the blocks, I jumped into the villager trading hall and used some of my remaining emeralds to buy bricks because I can't be bothered to mine them. What I will happily mine for though are tough blocks. Jumping into the mines, I found a massive vein of tuff directly off my second to lowest stopping point and mined out all of that with well over a shulker full of tuff. To texture with all of our mud, mostly to get another slab to use here, I am grabbing some jungle wood too. Finally, that is everything. We can drop off all the boxes here and double check that it's all ready. At this point, I'm just excited to get this in game after the material gathering, so we're building the road from the gatehouse down to current ground level. This is looking so much more horseable, which is great. Oh, I'm really happy with it. I've relocated the shulkers off to the side, so we're no longer building those into the pavings themselves, and I want to continue our main road along here with the tuff and the cobble stretching off that way. Then, as you can see off to the side roads here, we're moving into our mud brick with a little bit of jungle and the dirt as it's stretching down to these, and I've built this archway where eventually I want this to disappear into a cold storage room just hidden in the cliff, basically a natural refrigerator. This is one of those big builds that just requires time to add everything in, and it's just a lot of near repetitive action filling in the space as we continue the road. Down here in the new section, we can do something new, almost to like symbolize a market square of sorts. I want to move into using deep slate, so touch the top texture of deep slate here, and then to me, you can almost use this as like a fish scale type texture. We're going to be using the top side of basalt. Spaces like this throughout the city help the boring roadways that are consistent everywhere turn into something more fun to me, and we can kind of theme the area, have some things hanging over, and maybe market stalls in the corners here that can really help bring it to life. My plan is to add a bridge here stretching across to get to that side. So I was thinking for a more impressive entrance, we can just fill this out of deep slate for now as a way to remind me to add something more impressive here. Don't worry, I'll fix that too. And before we can continue on to the side roads that are going to be more at the front of the docks here, I need to continue the harbor wall along the entire new stretch. Okay, except one little thing. Hear me out here. What if we change all of the stone and andesite here to tough and the stone bricks to tough bricks? I know we already have tough in the walls, but I think it's just gonna look a lot nicer. And yes, we're even gonna carry this down underneath for the little that is coming down here for now. Okay, now I'm really regretting moving that Halloween mob over here. Really regretting that one. I've left one light patch in over there, and the rest is now toughified, and I like that a lot more. It contrasts a lot better against what we've been doing in the city so far, I think. The harbor, to me, always before, I know we had a lot of texture in there with the basalt and the mud, but it still just felt too clean. We've got the idea in place for what I want to do here, and I like the new version even more with the tough, so we can extend this new idea around our new place, leaving room for the bridge, of course. Looks a little weird from this side, but in this shulker box I should have some stone brick slabs, and to add a small lip around and covering up all of the acacia, I just want to extend these across. About halfway down, well, first I'm having it drop down a few layers so it's a little bit more natural looking, but about halfway down right to here, I thought we could have a ramp for carts to go up and down, whereas the other side we have that really wide pathway there. I didn't really have a natural space to that, so I thought we would force a smaller one in the middle. We'll also include some cranes on the upper side so we can Oh, I thought I for sure had enough. I very much did not. I do have plenty of stone though. But yes, we will add some cranes on top to more easily explain how the larger goods get moved around. And then that big old bridge is going to be going right here somewhere. I'd love to do that today, but I still have to finish up the wall on the top up there, and probably a little gatehouse over here. And we've already cleared over 60,000 blocks and placed back in another 20 to 30,000 blocks. So we've done a lot today. We'll work on the upper pathways first, but for now, I want to finish the water view down there, and just so I can more easily jump up and down, let's just fill this guy out with probably something like here, and then that'll be floor level. Yeah, perfect. That's a smooth enough slope for some carts to move up and down. Now for the docks themselves, I'm just using spruce slabs and oak logs for the posts, with a few ladders going up and down. Spruce, oh no. Well, let's grab 2 stacks of logs here, and I think I'm gonna need a few stacks of spruce logs. Nothing in my tree land has grown up, so I guess we could just keep expanding the tree chopping area. This should be plenty of spruce. We can craft all those down and make a bunch of slabs here, and that is what, 6 stacks? I think we probably need double that. Let's just, yeah, I think we're gonna need that. So that one over there is a block and a half above water level, but I was thinking just for variety's sake, we bring this down here. I bring you closer and we can jump up. Perfect. And then I want to extend ourselves 5 blocks out. This just needs to extend down the entire length of our wall. We now have a giant boring spruce platform down here, and I'm thinking the same that we did over there. I believe that is every 5 blocks. We're going to be extending out a log, which is just going to go all the way down to the bottom. This is very simple, but I think that's kind of what makes it work. Especially we can add all the details and everything on top with our crates and whatnot as we start adding boats in here. Now, I intentionally stopped it at where this bridge is going to be coming in, because I'm not planning to make it a drawbridge or anything, so large boats can't really get through. So we probably won't have any issues with needing to dock on this side. Maybe some little local boats can stop out here, but for now, I just kind of would turn it into more of a green space. I think it could be pretty sweet to eventually turn a large portion of the river into our mud here. We'll come and excavate this out a little bit more later on. But for now, we've got a small testing area, as I love the idea of using our azalea leaves and waterlogging them in here to create a spot that more looks like lily pads or like algae or something has been grown all over. And then I do also have a few small drip leaf. We're gonna definitely have to go find some more soon, but I'd love to. Oh, we can't place them on the mud. Regardless, we can end with something a little bit like this here, and I like it. For a quick and dirty first attempt, I think that's a good idea we can keep moving forward on. Okay, I couldn't help it. I had to add a few oak leaves in just for a little color variation, and I think it helped a lot. Once my brain stopped looking for another squirrel to chase, I was able to add in the remaining road along the top of the harbor wall. Finally, definitely solid ground to walk on. Oh, we're all prepped up and ready for all of the buildings to be added in. But that's a future project. As for now, let's refocus on this old bridge so we can bring our horse home. Excuse me, I'm trying to sleep. I'm trying to sleep here. No, I was trying to take a nap. Thank you. Just gonna put some torches down here. Probably a good idea. I've mentioned a few times that I want to completely remove the mountain on the far side. Not today, but like soonish. So I cleared out a landing space for the bridge. A lot of our structural elements in the city are made of bricks and mud brick. So I want to continue on with that theme. For this bridge, I want to create 3 arches going across the river, as it's pretty wide, and honestly, I just think it's gonna look cooler. That's a pretty good start here. Now repeated 5 blocks back to the far side. And then doubling the thickness for even more support. I've added in a little bit more shape and texturing on both sides. I've got an idea for something I want to try that I'm putting these markers in with the brick walls for now. But before we get to that, I want to make this a touch more walkable so we can at least throw the underside of the bridge on. I'm going with the deep slate here so it does feel a lot darker. This way so that when we're looking at it from the side and you catch a little glimpse from underneath, it almost strengthens the shadow we have down there. For those little outcroppings above the walls, let's head here into stone storage. Grab ourselves somewhere, maybe red terracotta. Quick trip back to the starter base where I should have a little prismarine that we could either, I don't have much. Let's take those and craft, and that's probably not enough. Oh, found more. We're good. Yay! Craft ourselves quite a few anvils, and lastly, make a good amount of copper. As my idea here is right on top of these walls, I want to extend out some of our red terracotta we just grabbed because I think it just is a cool color pop. Border that with some of the granite to almost like blend it in as if it's a shield. Then out here on the front, let's grab the prismarine and copper that we just got to create some flags. I've used this design as like the flag of the city before. It's a pretty simple design, but I really love how it turns out. And then to attach it to the wall here, we throw in our anvils and spruce trapdoors on top. That is looking pretty sweet. I'm liking that a lot. Oh, hi guys, what you doing over there? We'll just leave him be. Oh, my viewing brick. No, you must stay. Nope, wrong spot. This is a great start, and I know exactly what to use to light it up. There goes 1, number 2, 3, and 4. And the perfect lamp. Yep, that'll do. That'll do great. Now that the bridge is safe from mobs, I want to finish off both ends, building up some towers on the outer side as decoration and to kind of balance the structure out better. And then on the city side, I'm adding in a small attached building as a form of customs office for guards to check wagons as they enter the city. Minus this little future foot problem right here, this is a very, very horseable bridge, and I am so happy to have it added in. The entrance to the customs office is right in there. No interior to it quite yet, but we do have some goods outside that maybe they're holding for a little while. And overall, horsey, I think we did a good job on this one. I love the pop of color with the red terracotta, and then the contrast of having the flags in front of that. Woo! I think this turned out really, really cool. Our harbor is almost set up and ready for all of the buildings to be added in. Yeah, so close. So close. You can hang out back here at the firewood cart again. Oh, he loves it. Yeah, you do. So a little note to self here. Make sure you have the right recording software open when you're gonna do a lot of recording and working on something, because I thought I had recorded building this, but apparently not. I had my streaming software open instead of my local recording software. Normally I like having two different softwares, but yeah, I built this equipped with the same flags, and I really like the design on the front here. It's gonna be really fun as we can kind of work in some of these darker corners, how we're gonna detail all of them. It's just creating a really cool vibe over here. Buildings along this side, who knows what we'll be doing over there. Probably more buildings, to be honest, or like work yards. And then we have this really simple staircase to get up to the top to kind of a half worked out interior, which leads out over here to a little viewing platform and a table and chair where the guards who are hanging out can kind of see what's happening on the river. Right, flying, that's good to fly. We'll work out this river, and I think I want to extend it a little bit farther out that way as we're going, just to kind of give it more fortification against the water rushing by. But overall, the gatehouse being back there, I think is really cool. I have the white diorite here that we normally have the diorite on top of the walls and the gatehouses elsewhere, but I thought on this one we'd turn it to the tough, and I'm playing with the idea of doing this to the bridge as well. So let me know what you think. Do we like the wider highlight there, or do we like it being more muted with the tough blocks right back in there? I love the city itself with the white diorite highlight on it, but I'm not too sure when we're in this outer area among the harbor that if we really need those brighter colors or not. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and in the meantime, I gotta work on expanding this wall. On to gathering materials for the city walls. We're taking a trip back over to the spruce forest again, as for some reason I need well over 4 stacks of spruce trapdoors for the wall detailing, so I need a lot of logs, which led back home to the storage room so I could craft down all of the logs into everything and put the rest away as my inventory was filling up. Off for more materials, however, we're jumping down into the mines to grab a ton of deep slate and cobbled deep slate. Next up on the errands, we're at the glass factory, as I want to pick up one of those extra shulker boxes of glass I had from a few episodes back. I'm already almost out of emeralds, so I dropped it off in the librarian trading hall to craft into glass panes to trade for emeralds later on when I need them, as I realized I actually had enough emeralds to buy all of the bricks that I need for texturing the wall. A few more trips later that I will save y'all from, but we're back with everything gathered up and ready to go. The final addition today is to build the wall sitting on top of the cliffs, as it'll help connect the harbor layout to the city instead of seeing the random floating unfinished builds. We can hide all of that while enjoying the look of continuing the large city wall across with 2 towers on top. We'll take a look back at the wall in just a minute here, and I will also be redoing this later, but for now I just want to add in a little bit of tall grass down at the base of the wall with our bone meal to fluff it up a bit. First section's done, and just to see what it's looking like with just a little bit of the difference in there, I think that's a lot better. And there it is. That is looking so good. Oh, I'm so happy I took the time to add the wall on top there. I'm very happy right now. Very happy right now. I've been working on this for over 2 weeks now in the background of videos, and wow, it's a big change from where we started. With well over 150 days in game, this is just the start of an expansion of something that is going to be very fun to create. This city is one of my favorite projects I've ever worked on, and I'm really excited to say that I'm still super inspired to keep building here, especially with these new expansion plans ready to take shape in the world. On top of the city wall, we can see so much down below. Oh yeah, it's a great view from up here, and hopefully a better one coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to click that like button down below if you enjoyed today's episode, and be sure to subscribe to easily catch the next episodes. With that, my friends, I'll catch you all on the flip side.